This segment is brought to you by Thunder Chick. Subscribe to our ambassador tier on Patreon. If you'd like to learn more about how you can support Daily Thunder on Patreon and get a shout out like Thunder Chick, please visit patreon.com/dailythunder. Welcome back to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Woods. I am here with Daily Thunder beat writer Brandon Rabar. Brandon, we have not talked since the last game of the Thunder season, the game where they beat the Clippers. So, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. It's going to be a fun offseason if you're a Thunder fan. There's so much to talk about and speculate on and fantasize on and worry about, and it's going to be a fun offseason. Well, at least until June 22nd. That's kind of what it's all about. But to answer your question, I'm good.
I feel like I get more anxious about June 22nd every day. Every day that I think about it, it feels less fun and more stressful. Obviously, at the end, after that night, we'll know a whole lot more. We're going to get to that. The first thing I wanted to talk about, this is a new thing, Oklahoma City not being in the playoffs. We're not. I think 1 year they missed the playoffs in the last decade. So. We're used to still be watching Oklahoma City at this point in the season. The offseason typically doesn't start so early. So I wanted to ask you, when the Thunder season ends, two questions here. How much playoff basketball are you watching after the Thunder are no longer playing? And once that is over, once the NBA season is over, once the Thunder season is over, I want to get some television go-tos for you, some traditions, some unwinding. What do you watch when we watch a lot of Thunder games. We watch 82 games a year. What do you do in your time in the off season? What shows do you gravitate to? Which shows do you binge? What's your go-tos there?
I know a lot of people kind of have their comfort shows that they always go back to, but I'm the kind of guy that I just want to keep watching new stuff. I always try to find new shows to binge. If I have a fallback, it's The Office. That's the only show that I watch multiple times. Maybe Parks and Rec. I'll put that on in the background. So those two shows I'll go back to every once in a while. But right now, I'm watching The Mayor of Easttown on the HBO. It's with Kate Winslet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good mystery show. I like it quite a bit. There's a show called Cruel Summer on Hulu that I'm really into.
Yeah.
Do you know about these?
I've watched the first episode of Cruel Summer and have been meaning to get back to it. But yeah, I've not watched the Kate Winslet show, but I've heard of it. So
Cruel Summer is cool because the concept is neat. So it takes place in the 90s, and each episode bounces back and forth between the same day in 1993, 1994, 1995, and goes back and forth. And so there's this central mystery going on, and you see every other episode this mystery play out in two different point of views, two different teenage girls' point of views that are kind of opposing figures. And you don't really know who's the protagonist and who's the antagonist. So it's like this cool concept and premise, and you got the 90s nostalgic setting, which I really did because I'm a 90s kid. So that I'm really into. Then there's a show on Apple TV called Mythic Quest about a video game programmer that's really hilarious. And I'm not a big gamer, but I know enough about games and played enough to where that's a really fun show too. So those are the three that I'm kind of into right now. But if you ask me this question 2 weeks from now, or somebody's listening to this episode 2 weeks from now, it's going to be a whole new batch of shows. I'm constantly binging new shows.
Okay. I'm a huge diners, drive-ins, and dives fan. I'm a firm believer that if there was ever a new Mount Rushmore constructed, that Guy Fieri would have like 3 of the 4 spots. So I always go back to that. I always run through Mad Men between seasons. Obviously The Office is like The Office is The Office. It's one of the best shows of all time.
Yeah.
So definitely with you there. I did catch that first episode of Cruel Summer and was confused, but also like wanted to find out more. Um,
It's a cool show. If you're into mysteries and in the '90s,
yeah,
you'll
yeah.
like it. What?
I and then I tend to watch a ton of golf in during the summer. Some of the best. That's really the summer is some of the best parts of the golf calendar. So um, that ends up taking a ton of my time. So let's go to Shay's announcement today. Shay announced that he will not be playing with the Canadian national team due to his injury, and just wanted to hear your thoughts on like, does that confirm what we suspected, or was that a bit of a surprise to you?
No, here's the thing. His injury isn't one that you can mess around with. I mean, the thing that you need to do the most with that is rest to let it heal. So once we heard from Mark Dagnall that it was a significant tear, this doesn't surprise me at all. Now it does confirm to anybody who is doubting one whether or not the Thunder were exaggerating or faking that injury to tank, or two, you know, if he was even injured at all, then this confirms that. And to me, it's the smart decision. I know that he wants to play for the Canadian national team, especially since they're going to have a pretty good squad. But without Jamal Murray and without Shea, it's going to take quite a hit. May have been the two best players they had. It actually probably was the two best players they had. They still got a good squad, but I know Shea really wanted to play. So this confirms it's a serious injury. But I still wouldn't worry too much if you're a Thunder fan, because, again, it just needs rest. And if the Canadian national team was playing in 3 months, he'd probably play. Just like the Thunder aren't going to play again until October, he's probably going to play and be fine. He just needs rest with plantar fasciitis. That's all.
Another pretty a pretty substantial day was Tuesday afternoon. This it isn't televised. It isn't something that anyone is really privy to. They just announce the results of a coin flip, and Oklahoma City was a part of one. Ended the season tied with Cleveland after that last game win over the Clippers. So Oklahoma City wins the coin flip, and I'm I'm my head has still been spinning with all the numbers that my eyes have looked over the last couple days of odds and percentages for which picks the Thunder have. So what are your first of all, where were you when you saw that we had won that coin flip, and what was your reaction?
Oh, if your question is where were you, about 95% of the time my answer is going to be at home sitting on the couch. Uh, and once you know it, that's where I was. No, I work from home. Both my jobs I work from home, so I'm just here all the time. Uh, no, I was excited because it is a big deal. It's a big deal from the standpoint, to me, everybody talks about how this is a top five draft. The top five are so important. Well, that coin flip gave the Thunder a 5% higher chance at a top five pick. To me, that was big. Also means the lowest now they can pick is 8, but actually the lowest player they can get overall would be 7, because the Thunder get 8. That means that they got the Rockets pick at number 5. And really, for all, to be real, reality is the lowest they'll pick is 7, because it's like a 2% chance they would pick at number 8. So I mean, there's like a 98% chance they'll have a top 7 pick with their own pick. But it was a big deal. I just like seeing that extra 5% chance of the top 5 pick more than anything. And here's the most important of all the percentages and numbers and all those things to me. There's like a 75% chance that the Thunder get a top 5 pick between their 45% chance of pick conveying for themselves, and then the 48% chance that the Rockets pick is the top 5 pick, and then that extra 5% chance that the Thunder's pick is the number 5 pick. All those together, 75% chance. And this also means the Thunder actually have a 55.3% chance that they get number 5, period. Like the number 5 pick. there's like a 55% chance it's the Thunder, which means they've got a 55% chance of choosing Jonathan Kuminga because he is the consensus number 5 pick. So Thunder fans, study Jonathan Kuminga because you've got a better than a coin flip chance of getting him.
Which is all the more reason I need to know when they pull these cards out and it says Oklahoma City at 5. Will that be from Houston or is that our own? I really, really, really need to know this, Brandon.
Yeah, we talked about this like 3 months ago, and
Yeah.
both of us were so lazy. Neither of us have done like the YouTube search just to see what
Yes.
the answer is.
That
And
is
we just
exactly
look
right.
at, we need to pull up the past draft that, one team had a pick that actually conveyed and see what happened.
Yes.
Because I know that it happened with like the Hawks a couple of years ago. Um, I cannot remember though. But yeah, we needed to know if it says Rockets or Thunder. Obviously, if it says OKC, that's self-explanatory. But when it says if it says Rockets, that could still be OKC. So we got to find that out.
Yeah, and obviously if they pull out a card at number 5 and it says Rockets, then like game on. Like we pretty much know what that means.
Oh
But it
yeah, if
on
it's at 5, yeah,
yeah.
that's right. So either way, really, it doesn't really matter.
So
We'll know. We'll know.
my it will come down to if neither if Oklahoma City hasn't been drawn yet by the time we get to 5,
Yeah.
and at number 5 if they pull out a card with Oklahoma City's logo on it, is that the Rockets pick conveying or is that our pick? That will be the massive question, because if Oklahoma City gets if the Rockets are drawn at 5 and we have not been drawn yet, it is Katie bar the door.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, that's the thing that's so exciting. The Thunder can have the number 1 and number 5 picker, 2 and 5, 3 and 5, 4 and 5, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, it would kind of end the rebuild. I mean, the Thunder would still have more work to do, obviously. But I mean, if you told me that the worst case scenario was the Thunder's rebuild was Shea, Cade Cunningham, Jonathan Kuminga, Lou Dort, and then, kind of dice rolls on guys like Darius Baisley, Ty Jerome, and things like that. And then all the Clippers picks and the ones that they're getting from other teams in the future, I would take that right now. That's how good I believe Cade and Mobley and those top 5 guys plus Kuminga are.
Would it be the worst thing ever if let's go down the really fun scenario of them getting 5-1 or 5-2, and they get, like, let's say Kaminga and Cade. Would it be the worst thing ever to just play Horford with all those guys?
I've thought about that because then all of a sudden you got a lineup of Shea, Dort, Kaminga. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Here, let's redo this. You have Shea, Cade, Poku or Dort, whichever one is going to be better next year. Jury's out. That's how much I believe in year 2 Poku.
Wow.
Then Kuminga and Horford. To me, that's a play-in team. That's how much I believe. I mean, honestly, the team this year could have been a play-in team if they were healthy, stayed healthy, and didn't try to lose games in the second half of the season. To me, that's a play-in team.
Hold up,
And
hold up,
I
hold up,
think,
hold up, hold up. You're saying I'm still my brain is still frozen on Dort over Poku or Poku over Dort to start. Dort's going to start. Dort's going to be named to an all defensive team this year. It would be a question of Poku over Kaminga for that 4 spot.
I mean, yes.
Come
To me, it's a
on.
question of pick 2 out of those 3 guys. I mean, Kaminga's a top 5 guy. I mean, he's supposed to be a blue chip type talent. So to me, he slots in. And Poku, I'm telling you, man, he showed flashes this year. And I love Dort. Don't get me wrong. You know I love Dort. And yes, this is to kind of like, you know,
Do you have some
get
Poku piece coming out that I don't know about?
no, I'm a big believer in his talent. I'm a big believer in he was the youngest player in the NBA this season. And the second half of the season, he really flashed and showed some things. And he didn't have an offseason. He didn't have a preseason. He didn't have a training camp. I think with all those things, he said he's going to work on his body and all those things. Dort is really, really good. He is. But do I think that Poku could be better than Dort next season? I think he could. I'm not saying he's going to be. And I think that Dort absolutely starts the season as a starter. And Poku versus Kaminga is probably more likely. But I'm saying by like the end of the season, could Poku take a spot? I think he could.
I'm so intrigued and have thought so much about the defensive ceiling of Cade, Shea, and Dort as like 1, 2, and 3 guard. Like those three guys are going to guard 1, 2, and 3 on the other team. Um, but if Kaminga's in that mix as well,
Oh,
like
dude.
I mean, Jesus. And who's to say Poku can't be the 5? Like maybe he comes back and is way bigger. And maybe in 2 years he's way bigger. Um and also did you see the reception he got back home?
Yeah, it was great. That was great. I love seeing that. That was awesome. His surprise with the huge mural of his, basically just a life size mural of him. Uh, no, and that's what I wonder. I wonder if here's a question I have. I wonder if Lou Dort and Jonathan Kuminga can coexist because the defensive side is incredibly exciting to think about. But Lou Dort improved as a 3-point shooter a lot this season, but Jonathan Kuminga, that's his one weak spot. And then if Horford isn't the starting center, then all of a sudden you might have, kind of what you had before, where you have a couple of really good 3-point shooters on the floor, back in the Russell Westbrook KD days. But then you got a lot of questionable 3-point shooters, and we've seen that the Thunder want 3-point shooters on the floor now. Also, Poku, the one position he didn't play this season. It's funny because everybody thought he was a center coming out. And the one position he didn't play this year was center. He played every other position. And so I just don't know if the Thunder see him as a center. So I don't know. That's actually, if you want my dream scenario, it's that the Thunder get 1 and 5 and then use some assets to trade from 5 to get Mobley. And then they end up with Cade and Mobley, but that's just basically pure fan fiction, like Twilight style.
I was
Like
I was
I'm
just talking to my brother-in-law about this exact same thing. Like if they get 1 and 5, just use everything needed, Baisley included, and get up to 2 and just pick 1 and 2. Like I know that sounds insane, but like maybe a team is at 2 like Orlando, who just wants as many assets as possible. You get a young player, a first round pick from last year, and the entire treasure chest. Like just take everything, and we're gonna draft Cade and Mobley, and we're gonna shake everyone's hands and leave. Like that is I really do think that is in play if they get 1 and 5.
I agree. And here's the thing: what if it's a team like the Wolves that are picking at number 2? Well, they have Cat. They're not going to take Mobley at 2. There's a lot of teams that are really, really high on Jalen Green and Jalen Suggs. Maybe Mobley falls to 3 or 4. Then all of a sudden, if the team's picking at 3 and 4, also value Jonathan Kuminga really, really highly. Which I think that the general public is down on Jonathan Kuminga because everybody just looks at the 3-point stats. Well, that was a 12-game sample size. And, these scouts have put a lot more work into these guys than a 12-game sample size. And at one point, Kuminga was considered the second or third best prospect in this class. So, maybe a team doesn't see that much of a difference between picking Mobley at 3 and Kuminga at 5. And if you throw in, a Baisley or a Maladone plus a couple of first-round picks, maybe all of a sudden, or maybe just one first round. I don't want to give up too much to move up from 5 to 3. But if you throw in, let's say, Baisley, a first round pick, and number 5 to move up 2 spots to get Mobley, I mean,
Would you would you give up? Would you consider giving up Poku?
I would. As high as I am on Poku, I have done a ridiculous amount of research on this draft. It's a little embarrassing to think how much time I've spent on it. I probably spent more time researching the 2021 NBA draft than I have with my wife this season. Uh,
Thank you, thank you for referencing it as this season.
but so I love Mobley, and I think that he could be, a perfect pairing with Shea. And then if you're talking about Shea and Cade, I mean, you got three potential stars already. So as much as I like Poku and I believe in his future, Mobley is a possible superstar. And a better percentage chance that he will see his potential and superstar ceiling than Poku would. So you got to make that trade.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I just 1 in 5, man. I need it so bad. I feel like it would just make up for all so many like past Thunder fan heartbreak would be to come out of June 22nd with like 1 in 5. It would be unbelievable. Um,
But then the flip side of that coin is, and that is absolutely true. The Thunder could get like 7-18, which would
yes,
be
yes,
just completely
yes.
just heartbreaking after the season and expectations for the draft and things like that. If you come out with 7-18, what a huge downer. I will say though, there's a lot of intriguing players available at 7 and even at 18. There's going to be some guys that are pretty interesting. I've now I could tell you the top 20 guys really well. I focus all my energy on the top 5 for so long, and then and then the Thunder just started playing too well. I was like, I guess I need to look at some guys in the late lottery too.
All right. Well, we're gonna save that for some future podcasts down the road. And speaking of June 22nd, we are going to be live that night for a lot of fun reactions to hopefully fun reactions. They'll be good either way. They'll be entertaining either way. I can guarantee you that. We'll have some a host of Daily Thunder characters on here to react to draft lottery night. That's what we in the industry call a tease. All right, moving on. We are gonna. I wanted to ask you. You live in a home with young children. What's the last food item you had thrown or dumped on you?
Probably some Go-Gurt. I know I had some Go-Gurt squeezed on me earlier today. So there may have been something more recently than this morning, but that's the last thing I can think of is some strawberry Go-Gurt.
Trying to compare popcorn and Go-Gurt, I think I would choose popcorn being dumped on my head.
Oh, I absolutely would. Yeah, I would easily choose. But there's a difference between when your 1-year-old does it to you and some
Some
fan,
some stooge in Philly.
yeah, does it too. Huge difference. I got to be honest. I'm so used to it now. I just like lick the yogurt off of my arm.
I mean we've watched Russ for a very long time. I've never seen a very warranted reaction, but like man, it
Yeah,
took a lot of it took a number of grown men to keep Russ away from that fan.
yeah. No, I mean he had a bum ankle and it just played a full NBA game, and it took security guards, multiple men to hold Russ back. I mean, look, you don't disrespect any person, any human being by doing things like that, but you really don't do it to one of the NBA players or some of the top most conditioned people in the world, and then you especially don't do it to Russell Westbrook. Like you're already talking about like the top percentage of people in the world when you're talking about the NBA players, and then Russell Westbrook, you're gonna mess with. I mean, like Russ said, I mean he wouldn't do this out in the street because that guy knows how it would go.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just if I were to make a list of like top 3 dudes in the NBA, I wouldn't mess with. Russ would definitely be in the top 3.
And just a message to NBA fans. We've been waiting a long time to get back into arenas. Like let's maybe not ruin it in the first week that we get to put thousands and thousands of people back in the same room again. Maybe not spit on the players. Maybe not throw popcorn on the players. Maybe not hurl incredibly offensive insults at players' family members in the stands. Like maybe be better going forward. My word, multiple fans this week and just in the last couple days banned from not just the arena that they were in, but any NBA arena for the rest of their life. It's crazy.
Yeah, and what's the deal with picking on like former Oklahoma City point guards between Russell Westbrook and
Seriously,
Trey Young? Uh,
seriously,
I mean, yeah, and here's the I know a lot of people don't like Russ, especially opposing fans, obviously, because of his antics on the court. He can be short tempered and Thunder fans and now Wizards fans would call it fiery and passion. And I believe that. I believe that he just plays with that passion and he needs to because it fuels him. But here's the deal: off the court, Russ is a good dude. He's a family man. He gives to charity. Never been in any sort of legal trouble whatsoever. You never see him, in any sort of, dust up or anything like that. So I think though that because of his reputation, because this is the third time now that there's been a thing with an opposing fan on Russ, and that's more than any player right now. Like nobody gets into dust ups with fans like Russ does. And I think there is something to the fact that people just kind of view him as this hothead villain. So they can just kind of do that to him because that's the way they view him. I don't think people view, for instance, well, I would have said Trey Young. I'm really surprised Trey Young. Uh, but I think that's why you see it more with Russ than anybody else. And it's just unfortunate because really he's a good dude off the court.
yeah. I mean, everybody that's ever played with him, that is the overwhelming sentiment. The people that know him um, see a totally different side of Russ than the one that's on the basketball floor. And that's not to say that the guy on the basketball floor isn't an awesome dude to watch him be around. It's just like you're saying, he's an incredibly intense and competitive player, and he lets it all out. Speaking of, I'm going to Wizards Sixers on Saturday night, and I cannot wait. I haven't been to an
Nice.
NBA game live
Nice. I think
in
that
years, like 2 years.
dude, that's awesome. That's exciting. I'm happy for you. I think that you have to tell us how the in court reception to Russ is. His first Wizards playoff game with fans in the stands. I'm pretty
Yeah,
excited to hear about that. I think the Wizards win that game between being down 0-2, having home court that night, and then this Russ incident. I think that the 76ers are going to take this series, but I think the Wizards will win that game. One thing we need to talk about before we get out of here, not to, you're the host and it's probably on your list, but we got to talk about this Clippers Mavs series and how that affects the Thunder.
that was the last thing on the list. Thank you so much.
Oh,
So,
my bad, my bad.
no, there is no my bads. So what an amazing turn of events this would be, and a very unexpected turn of events. I said the night that we recorded, the last time we recorded was after that Clippers win, and I said, whoever they play in the first round, I hope they get obliterated to the moon. And Dallas is
Yeah.
going home up 2-0. They just won both in LA. And I will say this wasn't some like pandemic P performance. Paul George was awesome and Kawhi was awesome, and they got nothing else. And they seem lost, and they have no answers for Luca, who is clearly going up a level in this playoffs, which is fun to watch. But he's about to go home and play in front of his home fans for the first time in a playoff game. Like, they've never seen this. So this is going to be unbelievable, and it's hard for me to think that this series isn't over.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the consensus feeling is like everybody knows it's tough to come back from 2-0, but because the Clippers were one of the title favorites still, and they have Kawhi Leonard, they have Paul George, and they have this cast of great role players, I think that everybody still feels like they have a chance. And of course, they have a chance. But like you said, playing in Dallas now for the first time, home playoffs, I think at worst, Mavs come out of there 1-1 at home.
Yeah.
That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting 1-1 at home. all of a sudden 3-1. I just don't see the Mavs losing this series. I don't think that the Clippers really have an answer for Luka. And if Tim Hardaway's not going to keep shooting like he's shooting, but Porzingis is going to play a little bit better to kind of help even that out. The Mavs are going to score. But what this means for the Thunder could be incredible. I mean, this could be the best thing to come out of this season, is if the Clippers lose in the first round. They lost in the second round last year. If they do, I'm not saying Kawhi is going to leave, but if Kawhi leaves, that is absolutely humongous for the Thunder's future, because all the next 5 years, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26, the Thunder either has their unprotected pick or an unprotected swap. And if it's just Paul George and overpriced role players, those are not going to be great picks. Now, I'm not saying that they won't compete for the playoffs. Maybe they're low lottery, high lottery. Maybe they're, kind of like the Heat this year, a couple of those years. But a couple of those picks could end up being really, really good. And here's the deal. If they lose Kawhi, they still don't have any money to go out and get anybody. They won't really have any cap space because they're paying guys like Luke Kennard and Marcus Morris and Patrick Beverley so much money.
So you're 100% right on everything you just said. It's something that I'm low-key worried about is like, well, first of all, if they lose this series to Dallas, there's no way they can run back the same team. Just no way.
Right.
After what happened last year and then what could potentially happen this year, there's no way they run it back. But my concern is one of those two, of Paul George and Kawhi, ending up on Golden State. It feels like Golden State has a big trade to make, especially if they get a top 4 or top 3 pick from Minnesota. So if that pick conveys to Golden State this year, top 3, they have a Wiseman Wiggins number 2 overall pick in them, and it's hard not to see them going after somebody like Paul George. That obviously that's fine for Oklahoma City as far as the picks are, the Clippers' future picks are concerned, but then you have to deal with the potential of a fully loaded Golden State team again.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that though, because I agree, and it makes complete sense. I think for me, the Warriors are still on such a different timeline. Curry's 32. Clay, Draymond, they're all on the wrong side of 30. So to me, that's fine. Let the Warriors have a couple more years. I'm just more concerned about the Clippers and what that would mean. But either way, in the short term, the Clippers get worse. So I think that if they make that trade, Wiseman could become something, but he's not really something right now. Wiggins obviously isn't reliable. And then they have a rookie. At least for the next couple of years, they're not going to be as good as having either both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So anything that hurts the Clippers' immediate, near future, I'm okay with.
And who are the cap space teams? Like, who would be a team that could potentially sign Kawhi to the money that he's going to get? I mean, the Clippers obviously can, but like, are the Knicks a team that could get him?
Yep, the Knicks have the most cap space in the league. They have enough to just sign him outright, which, you put Kawhi with this Knicks team that's been great defensively, and then they can probably get, another decent free agent to go because they have a lot of space and they can make some more room if they wanted to. And if you're playing with Kawhi and Julius Randle, of course, they're going to have to give Randle the bag. So I haven't looked at their cap space to see, how that'll affect everything. But you want to know who has the second most cap space? The Thunder. So the Thunder. I mean, that's never going to happen.
What a weird thing. Like Oklahoma City having cap space. That's so new.
Yeah, it really is. But it's exactly what you want during a rebuild, and you have a young superstar already in the making in Shea. Let's say that you get a Cade or a Mobley, a Suggs or a Green. Then all of a sudden, you have all this cap space when a star becomes free or you want to trade for one. That's what's so nice about having cap space right now. They've never really had that luxury. the entire time they were contending. They were always maxed out and couldn't make any moves. They're so restricted. The other team that you can look at is the Miami Heat. They can make some moves. They can turn down some team options on guys, and they could team up Butler with Kawhi. So those are the two teams that everybody's kind of speculating. If he were to leave, it would be either the Knicks or the Heat, which of course are two of the prime markets as well. So it makes sense.
And they're in the Eastern Conference. All of
Yes,
that is great news for Oklahoma City.
exactly.
All right. We are going to wrap it there. We had a lot to talk about, and we got through it all in a decent amount of time. Lakers are up by 10 right now with 35 seconds left, and the Blazers and Nuggets are tied at 91 with 6 minutes left in the game. Both of those series are tied 1-1. The playoffs there have been a couple blowouts, but these series have been awesome, and it's leading to what looks like a second round to get really excited about. I think Bucks Nets is going to be an absolute throwdown.
Yeah, I think so too. What's exciting is the Bucks are showing what everybody thought that they could be this year. You know, they've kind of been up and down this season, but with Drew Holiday fully healthy, I mean, that's a good team between Giannis. Everybody was underrated them going into playoffs. Nobody's really given a chance, but you still got Giannis, a two-time MVP, and Drew Holiday, who's lockdown defender and really good offensively. Chris Middleton. This team could cause some problems for the Nets, who still have, you know, they're incredible. I hate it, but if I had to choose a champ, it's going to be the Nets, just because their talent's ridiculous. But the Bucks could cause some problems, and I would love to see the Bucks upset them.
Could we be headed for a LeBron Durant finals?
I mean, if the Clippers go out, Nuggets have injury problems. The Mavs are a fun story right now, but are you picking anybody over a healthy LeBron and Anthony Davis in the West if the Clippers are out? I doubt it. And would you pick anybody over the Nets in the East? No. So, I mean, yeah, if you're a betting man and had to choose one team out of each conference right now, you got to go Lakers, Nets. I guess I haven't mentioned the Jazz. They're the number one seed.
That's the team I was going to mention in the West. Like, if there's a team I could see like doing enough on both ends to get them, I think it's the Jazz, especially with home court. But yeah, I mean, I think the betting favorites are going to be the Nets and the Lakers from here on out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we are going to wrap it there. We will be back. We're going to be on a once a week schedule here leading up to lottery night. Again, we're going to go live that night, and then post lottery night, we're going to be talking. Once we know where teams are going to be selecting, we're going to be highlighting quite a few prospects that are going to be in that range that these teams might be interested in. So be on the lookout for those. And Brandon, thanks a lot for joining me, man.
Absolutely, man. Have a good night, Ryan.
All right, Thunder fans, talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to the Daily Thunder Podcast. Hey, Hoopheads, we appreciate you listening to this episode of Daily Thunder. Be sure to check out other NBA pods on the Hoopheads Podcast Network, including Cavalier Central, Nuck If You Buck, 305 Culture, Spanning the Spurs, #Lakers, Motor City Hoops, X's and O's NBA Breakdown, LA Hoops, The Wizards Hoops Analyst, At the Buzzer, and Lakers Fast Break. There are also coaching-focused podcasts, Thrive with Trevor Huffman, Beyond the Ball, the CoachesMaze.com podcast, Players Court, Bleachers and Boards, The Green Light, and Courtside Culture. Oh, and don't forget the network's flagship, the Hoopheads podcast, hosted by Mike Klinzing and Jason Sunkel, and featuring the best minds in the game from its grassroots to the NBA.